Hey guys, Chris here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Ramones, End of the Century. But before I get into that, I'm filming this on my mom's old phone actually. It's a old iPhone 6 Plus, and holy hell, this thing took forever to set up. And the only reason I'm using it is because it has a lot of space, like I forgot it's either 64 or 128 gigabytes, and I need that. My phone's only got 16, so it's like I have to film, delete, film, delete, film, delete. And with this, maybe it could be a little bit easier. Unfortunately, everything kind of syncs together, and I know syncing stuff is like the death of iPhones, basically, because like you're getting those like, oh, sign into your Apple blah 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 like thing like every 5 seconds, especially in some of those older iPhones. Because I saw that with my parents' old iPhone 4s. I just hope it doesn't happen with mine, with my six. But yeah. So this it's gonna be a little bit nicer for me or easier for me, I guess. But so I chose to review this album. Not I've kind of been meaning to review something by the Ramones for a while. And what better album to review than End of the Century? It's the end of this decade, but not century. But so um first thing you notice when you take a look at this album is a bright, portrait of them. And with all remastered Ramones albums, they come in this little kind of sleeve, this paper sleeve. And then, of course, you have the actual album with digitally remastered written on the side. And opening it up, it's got the classic yellow Sire CD. I'll give you guys a little bit better look at that. Yeah, it says Sire, Ramones, End of the Century. And then again, with the remastered CDs, you get a huge, like, very thick lyrics packet. And not only is it lyrics, but it's like, it has little snippets of people that worked with the Ramones. It kind of breaks down the album track by track. And I have been listening, well, I shouldn't say that. I first listened to this album, oh man, it was the summer of 2016. That was a terrible summer for me, by the way. It was just awful. But summer 2016, I first listened to this album on like, oh my gosh, what was it? It was this really weird kind of app where you would like borrow music and books, and then it would be done within like a week. Or no, actually, I think the majority of the time I listened to this on YouTube. And that 2016 was where I started kind of switching from like really crappy music apps to YouTube for music for the most part. Digitally, that is. You know me, I got like acres of CDs, but this was an album I really started to enjoy. And I actually, believe it or not, I found out about the Ramones from Kiss. And it was one of their like live, Kiss had like a live album from like 2004, and there was a bonus track on it. It was their cover of Do You Remember Rock and Roll Radio? Amazing cover, by the way. So I was like, hey, this is good. I should check out the original one. So I did. It was off this album. And that's basically kind of how I found out about the Ramones. Um, so yeah, this is their what is it? Um, it's like their fourth or fifth album, I think. It's from 1980. So by this time they were kind of like running out of ideas. So this album really for I mean, I have never been like most bands I listen to, I'm not really like the typical fan of, because most of people like, I don't know, say Weezer, take that for example. Everyone hates one of their most the recent albums, Pacific Daydream, but I love it. People really don't like this album. I love it. Like I have kind of weird taste when it comes to like individual bands. But this album, you can kind of see just how they were running out of ideas. Like half the songs on here are like they like reference their original songs. Like The Return of Jackie and Judy was a kind of like rehash of Judy is a Punk. That's what it's called. It's like a kind of done version. Not a redone version, but it's like based off of that. And then This Ain't Havana is kind of based off Havana Affair. Um, there was something else in here. Oh yeah, and they mention themselves a lot, which that's kind of like a musical turnoff for me. Is when bands mention themselves. Like I love this album, but it's just like Judy in the song Jackie and in Return of Jackie and Judy. It's like Judy's a punk or Jackie's a punk, Judy's a runt, blah blah blah. Went down to see the Ramones. It's like, and it's not the first time they mention themselves in this album, so it's just kind of like weird in a way. But it's good. I get around it. You know, it only happens a couple times, and yeah, there's a lot of really good songs on this album. And then there was one you could just kind of see their thought process on it. It was like, oh, do we have a love song? No, let's just write one. And that's how Baby I Love You was made, and it's kind of generic. It's like a generic love song. And like most of the songs on this album have this weird kind of drum sound, like a shack, shack, shack kind of sound. Like it's got a weird kind of, this album has a sound. And that's what I'll give to it. The first three Ramones albums, they basically sounded the same. Apart from like a couple different songs off of holy crap, what was it called? What was I have it right here. Road to Ruin. A couple songs off Road to Ruin sounded different, but most of early Ramones stuff sounded kind of the same, and this was kind of a different sound. So I have to give them that at least. And what else? There's bonus tracks on here because this is the deluxe remastered version. It's just kind of just different versions. I personally like no, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say I like the demo version of Danny Says, but I like the original one better. Like, it's a weird kind of song. Like, it just reminds me of like I don't even know what it reminds me of. It's a strange, very catchy, very un-Ramones, but a very cool song. And this whole album is very cool. You know, end of the century, you know, it's the end of the decade. Here I am doing what I've been doing for more than a year. And you know, maybe for the second part of this video, I'll just kind of talk about my decade. But first I'll give this kind of like a final score. So, all things considered, all considering where the Ramones were at the time, I'd give this a solid 7 out of 10. Again, it's not their best, certainly not their worst, but it's like, I don't know, there could have been a lot of improvement on it. I mean, this album's like almost 40 years old, but and I say like it was just released today, but I don't know, I like it, but there's definitely, I don't know, some flaws. But nothing's perfect. No one has a perfect album. But talking about this decade, I started out, I was in 4th grade, 2010, and it finished up. Here I am, 18 years old, freshman at a community college. This decade seemed very long. I mean, a lot happened. It's probably like the decade in my life where things have most changed, honestly. Because there's a huge difference between like, I don't know, how old was I in like between like a 9-year-old and an 18-year-old, obviously. Like my age doubled with the decade. But I think it was a very good, it just started out kind of weird because it was a weird time because I was in 4th grade and that was my last year at that school, BCA, Bartlett Christian Academy. Well, none of you probably remember that, unless anyone from BCA is still watching. I don't think anyone is. I don't think anyone remembers each other. I mean, I remember a couple people from BCA and that's about it. But and then the school there, it was closing down. I wasn't there for the last year, but the last year that they were open, their 5th and 6th grade class, 3 kids. 3 kids. And in my 4th grade class, it was 8 of us. So, and then after that, we moved schools to St. Matthew's in Glendale Heights, and I went there from 5th to 8th grade, and those were very good and very bad years. It started out terrible. 5th grade was not a good year for me. 6th grade was okay. Seventh was really good. Eighth was really good. Then I moved on to Bartlett High School. Freshman year was, oh, it moved quickly, that's for sure. As you know, it was a brand new school. It was my first public school. Sophomore year, I met a lot of my friends who I'm still friends with today. Junior year, same thing. Senior year, I was just about done with that place and I wanted to get out. As many like cool people and cool experiences that was there, I just needed to get out of that place. I mean, hell, I got a watch for basically doing nothing. Literally all I did was blah 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 jewel piece in front of people with a timer. And that's how I got this watch. That's all I did. um, and then, of course, now I'm at ECC. I still got a couple weeks of break. I'm gonna take some interesting classes next semester, and I'm working a really, it doesn't pay the best, but it's the job I love the most at UPS store. I mean, again, I'm not and the reason is I'm just not working a lot of hours there because it is kind of family run, so there's only so many hours they can give out, because it's a franchise, so it's mainly family run. And I was very fortunate to get in there, actually. I asked if they were hiring, and they were like, yeah. And they eventually hired me. It took a while, but okay, good. I thought someone was gonna come banging down my door. But I'm very happy there. And I'm very happy right now, closing out this decade. Let's wait till this finishes up here. Okay. Yeah, I'm very happy at the end of this decade. I think it was very good. As annoying as it is, it's like, oh, I'll see you next decade. But that's just the truth. This is the end of the decade. And I was talking with my brother about this. It's not much is gonna change. It's not like 2020. I'm magically gonna, be a whole different person. No one is, unless you really, really think that you are, and somehow that affects your personality. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the new year, new decade. By the end of the decade, I'll be 28. Holy crap. I'll be 28. I'll probably have a house. I'll probably hopefully have some kind of family by then. Right now, I'm just happy how I am right now. Kind of came to the realization that the other night I got a Nintendo Switch for Christmas, and I was playing on that, and I was like, you know what? I'm very glad that I'm not dating anyone right now. I don't have to reply to texts. I don't have to call anyone. I don't have to be out. It's just me. It's just me enjoying my time alone. And that's not even that's not a coping mechanism or anything. It's just legitimately enjoying that. And I'm completely fine with it. And it's great now that I think about it. I used to be oh man, I'm not dating anyone, I need to date someone. It used to be like that. But right now, I'm just taking it easy, and it's fine, and I like it. It gives me all the free time in the world, and that's perfect. But I'm very happy right now. And we'll see what this decade has in store. I mean, just the year. The decade. I'll see what happens, and you guys will see what happens. Both to me, both to you guys. And I'm really running out of breath because I had too much coffee earlier, and that does not do good. Because for some reason you just kind of run out of breath when you have a lot of caffeine in you. But yeah, I will see you guys next decade. And I hope you guys have just a good year, a good New Year's Eve. Whenever you're watching this, have a good day. Just have a good whatever. See you guys in the next one.